Hey folks, what's up? Lex here, and today I'm going to be showing off my pickups for August 2021. Now, as I film this, it's October 1st, 2021, so obviously there's a gap here. Part of the reason is I've been working on my Trails of Cold Steel video, which I just put up a few days ago. It's up, go check it out if you haven't already. I spent a lot of time on that. It was a labor of love because I really want to get the word out on this series. And if it reaches one person who checks out the series, even if it's just the first game, I consider that a good thing because it's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but those games are just so wild in their storytelling and how everything connects together that I feel like we need a lot more of that in gaming and a lot less of the inconsequential stories that are just one-off linear things. But it's not without its faults, that's for sure. So go check out the video if you're not sure about it. I go over a lot of the good and the bad with the game series, but this video is all about the stuff I bought in August. Now I do have to preface this by saying that there's a lot here and I spent a lot of money getting it. I paid for almost everything close to market price for it. Normally I would not do that. I'm a very cheap person when it comes to buying video games. I generally don't like to pay full price for them, but what I decided to do was I decided to essentially take the stuff in my collection that I didn't want anymore, I didn't need anymore, and sell it on eBay and take the money I got from that to buy the stuff that I'm going to show in this video today. So I paid full price kind of, but I really didn't because the stuff in my collection I usually got for between $1 and $5 at yard sales and stuff like that. So it's nowhere near as bad as it may look. Alright, so let's get to this now, and I do have some movies mixed in here, but it's mostly games, and we're going to start with, see, I've got some of them in box protectors and they're kind of shiny, but, and it's not wanting to focus. Whoop. There we go. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for Super Nintendo. This is a game that I played as a youngster. I was super into Power Rangers back in like 1995. It really was kind of a short-lived thing for me, but I've always respected the show because it's a very flashy show, very cool show. But this game right here is really cool. I need to go back and play. I still haven't played it yet, but I need to go back and play it and see how it holds up. But I remember it being a pretty fun, if not a little bit challenging, beat 'em up. In the same vein as Turtles in Time and stuff like that. The graphics in this game are really good. I really love the pixel work in this game, and for some reason I always remember Billy in his overalls. Just, I don't know, the baggy overalls. Just a memory that sticks for some reason. Next up we have TMNT 4, Turtles in Time. Again, in the case here. This is definitely one of my childhood favorites. It's not a game that I particularly care for these days. Not this game in particular, the genre. I play beat 'em ups nowadays, and it's just kind of like, I need a little bit more substance in my games than that. I played Streets of Rage 4, and it was a good game, but it's just like after the first level, I was like, I'm kind of over just hitting guys over and over again. But I played this with my son. We had a retro game day where we just played retro games all day long, and we beat this on the normal mode, not the hard mode. But it was a lot of fun just to go back through it and just for like an hour or so, just mash the buttons. So yeah, not a cheap game though. I think I paid $70 for that, and I think it goes between 80 and 90, so not a cheap game at all. This is a cheap game though. It's Tiny Toon Adventures Buster Bust Loose. Talk about sprite work. The sprite work in this game is phenomenal. It's actually kind of mind-blowing how good it is. These cartoon games, a lot of them really hold up in terms of the look. And I'll always say pixel art is timeless, and not all pixel art is good, so keep that in mind. But when you think about games like Super Metroid, it still looks good today, and so I really love that style. This is a really tough game, though. It's a really challenging game. I remember as a kid trying to beat it and just getting so frustrated, dying over and over again. But some of the levels in this game, the football level, the train level, just running up walls and collecting, the sound effects, just there are so many good things about Buster Bust Loose that I'm a little sad that it's such a cheap game. I think it should be worth a little bit more, but it's a very good game. So next up we have Final Fantasy for the NES. This is just one of those games where I didn't have it in my collection, and I feel like I need every Final Fantasy game, at least all the mainline ones. And what's funny was I got the NES Classic when it came out, and I unboxed it and I played it and I was like, oh yeah, this is fun, but hey, I kind of have all these games already. And I ended up having 29 of the 30 games in that NES Classic, and this was the one I did not have. And so I sold the NES Classic, and I thought it was about time I picked this up. I've started playing this. I've put quite a bit of time into it already. I like these NES RPGs. I know they don't have much to them, but it's fun to just kind of grind with them. I do like Dragon Quest a little bit more than this, though, so there's that. My cat's trying to get out the door, so let me go open that real quick. All right, cat's out of the room, and we can move on now. The next game that I got, another Super Nintendo game, is ActRaiser, which is kind of timely because they just released ActRaiser, what is it, Renaissance, I believe it is. So I should say, I never played this game when I first bought it. I always was interested in it because it has the sim element to it, and I'm a huge simulation fan. SimCity, one of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo. I just love simulators for some reason. They're just interesting to kind of do stuff, do jobs without like any repercussions. Like if you screw up, you're not in trouble or anything like that. It's fun. Jobs are kind of like video games as it is. It's just they're not as rewarding or as fun typically. But when you don't have someone being like, if you screw this up, you're fired, you know, it's just kind of fun to experiment. I love American Truck Simulator. Anyway, we're getting off on a tangent here. ActRaiser. I did play this a little bit. I'm not crazy about the action parts. I don't feel like they're very refined. I feel like the controls are a little off. I've heard other people say that the controls are great, so I think it's just a preference thing, and I will play more of it to kind of get the gist of you know, how the controls work over many different levels, and maybe I'll come around to it. And I haven't gotten to the sim element yet, which is what I'm most interested in, so still have to put some time into this. Next up, you've actually seen this if you saw my box protector video. It is Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. A lot of people just say Yoshi's Island, that's fine. But this game is like my youth right here. When I got my Super Nintendo in 1994, and soon I got this game, this was, for a very long time, the only game I played. I love the music, I love the platforming, I love the colors, you know, obviously the pixel art looks fantastic. I know it has Baby Mario, and I know a lot of people don't like Baby Mario whining and stuff like that, but I always found that as like this interesting way, instead of just dying, you had to go get Baby Mario, and so it's kind of like a resource management a little bit, because you had to get enough stars or something like that. Anyway, I will play back through this game. I've played this game on virtual consoles, and they have a 3DS remake that I bought and played through. I just love Yoshi's Island. Like, I recognize it might not be the greatest game of all time or anything like that, but anyway, I wanted to get a boxed copy. And in fact, this isn't my first boxed Super Nintendo game, but it's so far my most valuable one. And I paid a pretty good amount for it. I think it was a little over $100. No, it was more than that. I'm drawing a blank on how much exactly I paid for it, but maybe I'll put it here on the screen. Anyway, it was a good deal though, because this is like mint condition. There's a little corner wear, maybe. The manual's in here. It doesn't have some of the inserts that come along with it, but this copy was in such good shape that it was like a no-brainer. In fact, I was a little worried that it was a reproduction at first, but when I got it in hand, I was able to check things out, and turns out it is 100% the real deal. And yeah, I love this right here. This might be my favorite thing in my collection, or at least one of my favorite things in my collection now. And just putting this on the shelf as like a decoration, just to look at when I walk into my office, it makes me feel a little bit happier, no matter how my day is going. So next up, we have another box game, this time for the NES, and this is kind of timely. It's Friday the 13th for NES. Now, I grew up watching Angry Video Game Nerd. I shouldn't say grew up watching, but because I was 18 years old by the time I started watching Angry Video Game Nerd. But you know, he was definitely an inspiration to me, and why I decided to make my first YouTube channel, and thus this YouTube channel. And I grew up thinking this game was terrible because of that video. And I eventually played it, and it's not great, so I'm not going to say the video has no merit at all, but this is not as bad as I grew up thinking it was. It's actually quite good. I actually like it. It's confusing. Once you figure out how the map works, it's a lot easier to play through, but the music in this game is very charming. It is repetitive, but it's charming, and my cat wants out. One second. All right, sorry, that was a different cat. I had two cats in here, and other one decided he wanted out. He was tired of hearing me ramble about Friday the 13th, so I'll kind of wrap it up. But this game right here is, you know, not great, but it is something I enjoy playing, and I will try to play through it, like try to beat it finally. It's a very difficult game, and again, it's one of those games that was like kind of early resource management. You had to manage the health of all your counselors and switch back and forth between them, and fight Jason in this Mike Tyson-like punch-out thing. I think it's a really cool game, so I wanted to get a box copy. Paid over $100 for this, but it's in pretty good shape. There is some wear and stuff like that. I don't know if it'll focus. Probably. There we go. You can see a little bit of wear there. And there's, I think there's like, oh, in the corner here, there's like a tear. A tear there in the corner. Not too bad, though. Moving on, I think this is our last Super Nintendo game. Yeah. No, it's not, but it's one of the last Super Nintendo games. I should have done that first. Anyway, so this is Super Metroid. That's right, Super Metroid. For some reason, it just does not want to focus. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, Super Metroid is one of those games I did not play as a kid. I didn't play it at all. I didn't play it at a friend's or a cousin's house. I didn't play it, you know, on my own. I didn't play this until I was an adult. But I think this game is as close to perfection as you can pretty much get. You know, the beginning, when it opens up, the last Metroid is in captivity. All the way to the graphics, to the music, to the exploration, you know, combat. This game is incredible. It really is. And I am a lot more... Listen, I don't want to make anybody mad about Super Metroid or Metroid Prime rather, but I'm more of a fan of the 2D Metroid games. I've played Metroid Prime many times. I've tried to get into it, and I just can't. I just don't understand it. I mean, I understand the game. I just don't understand how people are so giddy over Metroid Prime. It's just kind of difficult to control, and it's got the scanning, the stuff in it. I don't know. It's not for me, but this is for me, though. 2D Metroid is definitely up my alley, and I was glad to get that very nice looking copy right there. All right, let's show this Super Nintendo game. So I got Donkey Kong Country. which, you know, it's like a $25 game or whatever. It's nothing crazy in terms of value, but this is obviously a staple of the Super Nintendo. You have to have this in your collection. These games are pretty difficult, but during that retro gaming day that I had with my son, I played through this. We played through this. We beat it, and I felt pretty accomplished with that. I don't think I'd ever beaten it before because it's just so hard, so difficult. A lot of, I don't want to say cheap deaths, but you know, just you have to learn the level, and so you die a lot to learn that spot. Anyway, it's a great game, but I bought it mainly because I had this in my collection. I had a box for Donkey Kong Country, and it's in immaculate shape. I can't believe how good a shape this is, and I need to get it in a box protector if I can find one. All the websites seem to be sold out. But so I had this, I had a manual in it, and I pulled out the manual, and the manual was in German. Like, this is a North American box, for sure, but the manual was in German. The manual was all messed up, so I don't want to open the box and pull it out, but I bought a manual for this too, in pretty good shape. It's got a little scratching on it, but so now I have the complete package of Donkey Kong Country. And I definitely want to get Donkey Kong Country 2 and Donkey Kong Country 3 just to kind of complete that sub-collection. I love sub-collections and completing sub-collections because I find them a lot more doable than like, oh, I've got a complete NES collection. Like, I've got 120 or so NES games. I'm far away from having a complete collection of NES, but I can do a sub-collection and it's like 3, 5, 7 games. And, you know, do that a lot more, that's a lot more manageable to do that. So, next up we have a PS2 game. It is Dragon Quest VIII. I've never played this game before. I've heard great things about it. I nearly bought it on 3DS when they did the 3DS remake, but I heard that was a little iffy. So I just wanted to get it on its original platform. And this is a really, really nice copy. It has the Final Fantasy XII demo as well. There's the game itself. Manual is in pristine shape. This came from Alaska, actually, so that's kind of cool. The only thing is the case doesn't want to quite shut. It's a little open there, so that drives me a little nuts. But I hear it's a lot of people's favorite Dragon Quest, and so I look forward to playing through. I want to play through all the Dragon Quest games. They're all very charming, and a great artwork, great music. The gameplay is a little traditional, so you know it can get boring if you go back to back to back with them, but still, I want to play through that, so I got it. Next up, we have a PS1 game. It's Mega Man X4, and this is a sub-collection that I'm hoping to complete, the Mega Man X games and the Mega Man mainline games as well. And this is a greatest hits copy. A lot of people don't like greatest hits because it's just green, it kind of sticks out on the shelf and everything. I don't mind it. I actually like it. Green is my favorite color, so it's actually okay to me. This, I actually had to replace the case on this. I swapped it with another game that I had that had a much better case, but the case was all cracked for this. So, but manual, game, really nice shape. There's that. All right, back to PS2 now, and we have Suikoden Tactics. Trying to get into the Suikoden games. I have a friend who is very bullish on the Suikoden games, says a lot of good things about them. I'm a big fan of tactics games. I played a little bit of this, actually, just to make sure it worked, and I liked it. I actually really liked what I played. The graphics are really bad in this game for PS2. I don't know what they were thinking with the character models, but yeah, they're not great. But the gameplay was fine, and that's the most important thing when you're playing one of these tactics games. It's not how it looks, it's just how it plays. So interested to see how that plays out, but I probably won't get to that because that is a part of the mainline games, like it's in that timeline, so I want to play them in order as I should. Next game here, sticking with Suikoden 3. Got a really good deal on this, and it's one of the cheaper Suikoden games, so I decided to grab it. Still need the first one, second one, 4th one, 5th one. So I have a long way to go with my Suikoden collection, and I won't get to that game for a very long time. I don't even know, like many years probably, but it was a good looking copy. It was a good price. Shipping was here in the state of California, so I decided to grab that. All right, next game is a game that I played as a kid and absolutely loved. And when I grew up and started watching YouTube and game collection videos on YouTube, I started realizing that this was not as loved as I had loved it. But now I think people are starting to come back around to it. It is McKids, the McDonald's game. It's a platformer. It's actually a lot like Mario 3, but it has like inversion stuff, so you can flip upside down, and you're collecting all these golden arches. And I know it's a commercial for a corporation like McDonald's, but I liked it. I really like the artwork in this game. It's one of those games that can take me back to a moment in time like nothing else can. McKids. All right, so moving on with the pickups here. I know this is a long video. I still got a little ways to go here, but this is an interesting pickup here. I don't know if you can see that very well. It says Jill Stewart. Now, if you are like me, you had no idea at least, what Jill Stewart was. But I was searching for a replacement for my PSP, and I came across this lot that had this PSP with this bag in it and a bunch of import games. And I looked at it and I was like, I don't like that color, but for some reason I kind of like this. And this is what it was. This pink PSP 3000. It's in phenomenal shape, like out of the box kind of shape. And I was like, I really don't like the color pink. I kind of detest the color pink, but man, that actually looks pretty good. And then it came with this bag, and I was like, what is Jill Stewart? And I had to look that up, and apparently it's a fashion designer, and it came with this cloth as well. Here we go. Open this up. This nice little cloth. Obviously, it had been well taken care of. Obviously, it was kind of a collector's item, and I was looking for a new PSP anyway. Let me put this PSP back. I want to keep it in immaculate shape here. There we go. And so I added it to my watch list. I was going to watch the auction and just see what happened. And then I saw, well, not and then, but I also saw that it came with a stack of games. But the kicker was they were all Japanese. And I can read a little bit of Japanese, but not nearly enough to be able to play through these games. So I'm going to go through them real quickly. We have Phantasy Star Portable, Winning 11, 2009. This is Basara Chronicle Heroes. Basara Chronicle Heroes. This is Bleach. Make sure I get it in frame there. This is Phantasy Star Portable 2. This is Tales of the Heroes Twin Brave. Monster Hunter Portable G2? Or is it 2G? Monster Hunter Portable 2nd G. There we go. We have God Eater. This is One Piece Romance Dawn. This is Dynasty Warriors. I don't know which one. And then this is Dissidia Final Fantasy. So what's cool, I'll open up one of the games here and show you. Was it this one? No, it wasn't this one. This one. So this is Basara Chronicles Heroes. But this, I mean, most of them were complete. and still had their little collector's things like this in it, which was really cool. So I don't know if I'm going to hang on to these or not. Like I said, I know a little bit of Japanese. I'm learning more. I might keep them and use that as a motivation to continue learning Japanese. Sorry for my squeaky chair. But yeah, mainly I bought the PSP for a North American PSP game. So I bought Puzzle Quest, and this was like 10 bucks. It was pretty cheap. But I love this game because it's one of those games where I could just turn my brain off and do puzzles, but still there's an RPG element to it, and there's a story there, which I don't really care about the story much. This is a game that I'd never heard of before I found the case for it. I went to a yard sale and I found a bunch of DS cases, and this was one of them, Contact, and I looked at the back and it was very Earthbound-esque, and Earthbound is like my favorite game of all time, so I decided to go out and find a copy, just a cart-only copy to go with this. I actually have another case and manual only for this for some reason, but I did play a little bit of this so far, and it is very different kind of RPG. It's like auto attack style of combat, and you've got this professor. And this dog. It's very weird. But so far it's delightfully weird. It's charming. I don't know if it's going to be my favorite game of all time kind of thing, but it's still interesting, and that's what I'm looking for as I get older, is games that are interesting. So, all right, I got to kind of go through this fast. My battery's dying here, and if you stuck with it so far, this video, thumbs up. Thank you so much. All right, we got some movies here. American Movie, this is my favorite documentary of all time. Just magic. 90 minutes of pure magic. Mark Borchardt is an inspiration. His attitude is unlike anybody else's I've ever seen. And it's hilarious, it's sad, it's inspiring, it's everything. Watch this movie. If you haven't watched this movie, please do. You'll get something out of it, I promise. For Mike Shank right there.
We used to do a lot of partying together, but I don't party anymore.
Hey Mike, make sure everyone has brown gloves.
Does everyone have brown gloves?
Oh, dude.
All right, next up, another documentary, Winnebago Man. Funny, but also very interesting to kind of take a peek behind the curtain of someone who goes viral and what they feel like. And not only that, but this was, part of it was shot around where I live in Northern California. So actually, when this was shot, I was living very close by to where they shot parts of this documentary. So it'll always hold a special place in my heart, but it's also hilarious and very sad too at some points. Speaking of very sad, this is a great documentary that I don't recommend to everybody because it has very sensitive subject material in it. This is Stevie. It's about a guy it's about a filmmaker who wants to go back and reconnect with someone he met in the Big Brother program and kind of do a film on him and how he's done through the years. And it's a movie about how, you know, does nature affect the people we become? How much blame do we put on nature as opposed to the person itself? All that kind of stuff. It's extremely interesting, but I will warn you, very sensitive subject material in this film, so tread lightly. Next up, another documentary, one of my favorite documentaries of all time, of course, Hoop Dreams. I don't know what I could say that everybody else hasn't said about this, but I can watch this over and over and over again. The story of William Gates and Arthur Agee is phenomenal, just tremendous. And this is the Criterion Blu-ray. I got this for like less than 20 bucks, which in my opinion is a steal. It's got a lot of great features that I look forward to diving into. I've seen this a million times, but I haven't seen the special features, so I'm going to be watching that probably this December is when I like to watch my documentaries again. And then this one was a GameStop pickup. I just stopped into the store, and they had this sitting on the shelf. It's Last Story. on Wii. I don't have the game in here because it's in my Wii U because I was playing a bit of it. Very interesting game. RPG with like action combat, but it's a lot of kind of like quick time event-y combat, which sounds terrible, but it's actually pretty cool. They had this on the shelf for 30 bucks. Now it's disc only, but like 30 bucks, that's pretty good for the last story. And I had $10 in coupons, so I only paid 20 bucks for a disc only copy of Last Story. I don't know if I'm going to keep it yet. I may throw it up on eBay, just spit all over the place. Thankfully it's a video and you can't catch that. That's why you wear a mask. And so I don't know if I'm going to keep this yet. I liked what I played so far, so I might. I've been looking for all the other stuff on eBay to maybe complete it, but I don't know if I want to spend that money on it yet. So, all right, last few things. Going to race through these. We have, I don't know if I bought this in August, but I just threw it in there just in case. Xenoblade Chronicles, the definitive edition. I have this for Wii, and I played through quite a bit of it. I haven't finished it, but I think I'm just going to restart it on the Switch. I love Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I love the combat in them. Very good story and voice acting and all that kind of stuff. Play it if you haven't. Next up is Shadowverse Champions Battle. This is a card battle game with an anime art style story. I guess the card game has been around for a while, just like Hearthstone, but they packaged it up in this anime style thing. So it's kind of like Digimon meets a card battle game. I really like it. I think it's really good. It's not the most polished thing ever, but I really do like collecting the cards and playing the card game itself and buying packs and stuff like that. It's a really cool game. It's released by Xseed, so check it out if you haven't yet. Go watch a review. I might do a review on this. It's just a really cool game. I haven't played through, I think I played through maybe 10 to 15 hours of it so far, so I haven't played a ton of it. All right, and very last but not least, I picked up Bravely Default 2 for 30 bucks on Amazon. I have the first Bravely Default game. I liked it to a point. I got stuck, and then I realized that the ending just kind of made you play through the game again and again, and I didn't want to do that, so I stopped playing it and I just kept it there. I actually have the collector's edition of the first one. But yeah, anyway, Bravely Default 2, my battery's running out. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back with a September's pickup video in a few weeks. Wow, this was long. Thank you so much for sticking through it. Until next time, this is Lex, signing off.